All right. Okay, now I figured out what was going on. I guess I didn't I didn't have my audio drivers hooked up properly or something. I don't know. I don't really get... I'm not very computer savvy. I mean, I know how to do audio because I play music, so I know how to hook audio things up. I just wasn't sure what I was doing when it came to this particular software. So anyways, let's go ahead and first off, let me talk about yesterday. So yesterday, if anybody saw my stream, which I'm sure no one did, I found out that for whatever reason on my FCEUX emulator, that for whatever reason it did not save the game. So I had to spend most of yesterday, or at least the time I would have been streaming, getting back to where I had left off in part 2. So now I'm back here. The only difference is, actually everything should still be the same. I think I just have a little bit more cash than I did at the beginning or at the end of my last stream. And Owen died during a battle. So now he's the one that's actually behind on experience points, not Sarge. So as you can see, he's got 1,600, and everybody else should have 1,487 till their next level up. So here's what my weapons look like. Everyone's got a silver sword. Best swords they're gonna have, moving forward, at least until I get to the Castle of Ordeals when I get the ice sword. And then everybody's armor set up right now. Sarge doesn't have anything. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go on ahead and give you gloves and cap, since that's the only hand and head armor the red mage can have. And the reason why I don't have anything on Sarge is because his absorb is going to be 8, which is more than he can have if he's fully equipped with the best armor he can get at this point. In case you're wondering what's going on, what's happening in the world, if you're just now tuning in and you're like, man, what is going on? What is he doing? Where is he in the game? I just finished beating Astos, and I got the herb the crystal. No, I took the crystal to Matoya and got the herb from Matoya, which I then took to the prince and got my what the fuck am I talking about? And got the mystic key, which I'm using, which I got all the treasure chests that are in Elfland Castle and the treasure chests that are in Astos' castle, the Northwest Castle. So right now, all I have to do is get a few more treasures. I'm going to go head up to Corneria, Canoria. Actually, before I even do all that stuff, I should go head to the Dwarf Cave so I can get the TNT. No, wait, the TNT's at Canaria. So I have to go to Canaria. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about anymore, people. Alright. Do I really want to use a lightning charge? Lightning 2? Probably not. I'll just attack. Alright. Right now, Sarge is doing a little bit more damage with his fists than he was doing with his iron nunchucks, which is why he will no longer use a weapon. So he will be just attacking with his fists from this moment on. As you can see, those silver swords are doing some massive damage, which is very nice. Got a critical attack off. 77, not too shabby, not too shabby. So right now my party's pretty much a bunch of killing machines. I don't know why I went into the city. I meant to go to the castle. So head up to the castle. To get to the treasure room, you have to go around this way and head up north. And there's a good bit of treasure in here. I mean, the main thing I need to get is the TNT. The TNT, oopsie daisy. There was something on my computer, so I was trying to fix it, and then I I forgot my computer was a touchscreen. So when I went to touch whatever was on my computer screen, I accidentally moved my image around on the open broadcast thing. All right, that's worthless. I'll be selling that, selling that, selling that. That would be a good bit of weapon for my black mage if I had a black mage in my party. There we go, another iron armor. See, as you can see, I do not need to purchase things for my fighters. I will find them in treasure chests. So we're going ahead and equip. Well, trade that. Nope. Come on, Greg, get your shit together. Trade that. There we go. There we are. And then that's what I'm trying to do here. So hopefully by the end of all this, my fighters will be pretty geared up and ready for what's to come in the Earth Cave, which I'll just go straight to the Earth Cave once I get to Melmond. The only thing I need to pick up at Melmond is a silver doodad for my fucking black belt, because that has 17 absorb, I think, but we'll figure that out once we get there. Sell all this shit so we have more money, saver, and sell this silver for 400. Get rid of the chainmail that my fighter has been rocking for the last however long now. As far as magic is concerned, let's go ahead and look at my magic spells. He's got pretty much everything he needs to get through the next part of the game. Ooh. It won't matter. But before I fight Lich, if I have gained enough levels before I get down to the very bottom of the Earth Cave, I am going to need to go back to Elfland and make sure that I have a ice. And the reason why I need anti-ice is because I don't know why I didn't go to the Temple of the Fiends. I need to do that. It doesn't matter. None of this really matters. Alright, so I don't think we fought these odd eyes yet. So basically the odd eyes, all they do is do a move called Gaze, which paralyzes your character. They don't actually do any physical attacks. That's the only move they do. So if you get stuck in, if you're doing a solo run, like I used to do lots of solo runs, and you get stuck in a random encounter with those things, it just is a total stalemate. Like, they just gaze you, then you're paralyzed, and then that's all they do forever. And then you're just there until something happens and you can get out of the battle or kill them. It's really annoying. Alright, so... Yep, see, look. I told you you could fight these guys just by themselves. And like I said, gaze, ineffective. I'm drinking iced coffee today out of my Braves mug. I got Atlanta Braves. I got this in, I guess, last season. The one game I went to, and I got a free cup. I'm not really much into sports, but, you know, the Braves, they're alright. I live in Cobb County, so that's where the Braves play out of now. So when I get down here to the Dwarf Cave has another big treasure room, and then there's an elf or a dwarf down there that you give the TNT to, and he busts open the canal that is just south of where we are now, and that way we can finally progress on with the game. I will go to the Temple of the Fiends and get the 2 swords that are there. Just for the purpose of selling them, because I can make money off of them, and money is very important in this game. As I've mentioned plenty of times, you need money for everything. Making sure I have enough heals, which I'll have to buy before I go to Melmond, because Melmond does not have an item shop, which you will see once we get there. So yes, you talk to this gentleman here. He's like, hey, you got TNT, that's pretty sweet. Let me blow some shit up. And then he does. And then the treasure room here, just, you know, again, has a lot of the same shit. Some armor, some weapons, an iron helmet, that's good. that dragon sword's not any better than the silver sword. You would think it's called the dragon sword that it would actually, I don't know, work well against dragons. It does not. It's supposed to. It's supposed to do more damage to dragon-type creatures, but of course this game is bugged, so it does not actually work the way it's supposed to work. Now this right here is the best armor, like armor that my red mage can equip. From this point on, he'll be equipping bracelets, and that's it. So that's it for him, just silver armor. And it's not even as good as the iron armor, which is why, well, that's why I didn't put it on one of my fighters, because it's, well, not as good, like I said before. So we're good here. We're going to take off from this area. Like I said, I'll head back to, actually, I'll just show you where the canal, see, that area is busted up. Before, it was just one piece of land. I don't know if you could even walk across it before. I don't know. I'll just have them all attack the ogre that way. The ogre will surely die in this round of combat. Probably shouldn't have done that. Wasting 2 perfectly good attacks there. I would have probably killed the other ogre. Now, based on this, it looks like I might have to gain at least 2 more levels. Let me see here. Yeah, I might have to gain at least 2 more levels, if not 3 more levels, before my red mage can use level 4 magic. So like I said, it will be nice to have the A-Ice spell for Lich, because the first move that Lich typically makes in his AI routine is to cast Ice 2, and Ice 2 would be, it does some pretty serious damage. So it's good to have the A-Ice, because it actually reduces the damage taken by it by 1/4, so big difference. Alright, sell all this stuff. Hit up the armor shop, sell that chainmail that I still have been rocking this whole time. Where the hell is it? Must be on Owen. There it is. And there you go. Now we've got tons and tons and tons of stuff, things that I need. Okay, I'm going to probably pick up more Pures, but let's go to the Temple of Fiends real quick and get those last couple of treasures before I move on with the game. So hopefully by the end of the stream I can defeat Lich. I'll definitely defeat the vampire that's down there. You got to make 2 trips into the Earth Cave. It's kind of annoying. You've got to go down there once to fight a vampire. So you go down 3 floors, fight a vampire, come back up, take the item you get from the vampire, give it to the fucking Titan that's guarding a fucking cave somewhere, talk to some guy, and he gives you a rod which you can use to break the seal over the blah blah stuff and things, and then you can go down the last 2 levels to fight Lich. Lich, of course, if you do not know, is the elemental fiend of the earth. So he is the only undead fiend in this game. The rest of them are not undead. They are in fact living. So just your same boring crap. This is why people probably don't stream RPGs. Because what am I going to talk about? But once I'm done talking about the things that I'm doing in this game, what more do I have to say? I can talk about Brave's Cup. I can talk about how my son's sleeping. He's asleep right there. I can talk about all my bases that are next to me. Music. Talk about my favorite bands. You know, growing up, listening to certain bands. One of my favorite bands, when I was really young, I was like, oh, this is a trap That's a trap tile, by the way, so you will always fight gargoyles on that particular tile. Gargoyles don't do nearly as much damage now that I actually have really good armor, so that's good. And I have better equipment, so I should be able to destroy these guys pretty handily. And I think they have about 100 hit points, but I'm not sure. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so in this treasure is a rune sword, and I don't remember what the rune sword is supposed to be more effective against a certain type of creature, but I cannot remember which one. It's like a magical creatures or undead creatures or some bullshit, but it obviously is bugged like pretty much all items or all weapons in the game and doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do. Now later on we'll pick up some armor that is actually not bugged. The armor in this game actually does what it's supposed to do, but we'll get there once we get there. We got a long time before we get armor that has elemental properties. Alright, so these zombies are pretty much toast. I was able to kill that ghoul before it did anything stupid. That would have annoyed me. Alright, so what we got here is 3 gargoyles. Hey! We'll just have the red mage and the black belt attack the bottom one. So yeah, growing up, I've always kind of liked music. My mom liked music, and so she made me listen to music a lot. But it was like, you know, all the shit that she liked. And my mom had pretty good taste in music. I mean, she was big into The Who. She liked Yes a lot. You know, like your typical classic rock fare. But then, of course, being in her, you know, early 20s in the 80s, you know, she liked a lot of 80s bands as well, like Duran Duran and blah, blah. Okay, so again, Were Sword. Were Sword's doesn't actually do anything against were-type creatures, like werewolves. Not that there are that many were-type creatures in this game, but you know what I mean. So yeah, like, she liked pretty good music, like B-52s, Yes, The Who, Duran Duran, you know, just like, and she liked a lot of hair metal bands, like all the ones that were out at the time, like Twisted Sister and Cinderella and all that jazz, Skid Row, Motley Crue, blah blah, whatever. You know, bands that, I mean, they're kind of like the Five Finger Death Punch of their time. You know, no, like they were massively popular, but like real metalheads didn't like them. So one of the first bands I actually really remember liking, you know, like when you're a kid, you kind of like what your parents like, but I actually really liked Faith No More a lot when that song Epic came out, like back in 1990. I was about 9 or whatever when that album came out. I remember seeing the video for that song. It was so good, with the fish flopping around, and I don't know. It's just, when you go back and watch it, it's just so much a product of its time, like the late 80s, early 90s, like this shitty special effects and the hand with the eye in it and the lightning bolts and all kinds of stupid stuff. So I really liked them a lot, and so I would like watch MTV all day, like literally just sit in front of the TV, you know, when I wasn't at school, and watch MTV all day until that video would come on. And then, you know, they released the video, because I think the video for that came out in like early 90, because the album came out in about, yeah, so I'm selling all this shit. So the album, if I remember correctly, came out in 89. It was released in 89, but I don't think the video for Epic was actually released until 1990. And the first song that they actually made a video for was the first track on the album, called From Out of Nowhere, which I actually never as a kid saw the video for that song. I didn't until I was much older, in the advent of YouTube and you could just search for things like that. I don't know, I guess maybe it was the New Orleans or the Atlanta market, or it would have been the New Orleans market, because that's where I lived at the time. Maybe the New Orleans market, they just didn't think that that song would do well, or they were only playing the one song that was like their big hit, which of course was Epic at the time. But I do remember the video for Falling to Pieces, which was essentially the video for Epic. You had fish, you had paint, they were just inside of a room instead of like out on a green screen or whatever with an exploding piano. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that was like one of the first bands I really liked. Like I said, I was about 10 or so. It was the first album I ever bought for myself. I went to the store, I picked it up on cassette. Even though CDs were out, I don't know why I picked it up on cassette. I did own the CD for it as well. I ended up buying the CD, I think, when I got a little bit older. But it's a good album, man. Like, true, like, all the hardcore Faith No More fans always dog on Epic, but that song's great. Like, even to this day, it's great. It's a great song. It's a good tune. I think there's better tunes on the album. You know, I think From Out of Nowhere is a phenomenal song. Surprise You're Dead's great. Jim Martin's song. Pretty much he wrote that song like in the 70s sometime. I think when he was still like playing with Cliff Burton from Metallica. And I guess it finally took him that long to get it recorded onto an album with a band of some kind. And as a kid, I never realized how good their bass player was, Billy Good. He's an awesome bass player. And then, of course, I picked up bass later on, and then you go back and listen to it, and as a bass player, you can actually pick out those parts, and you're like, man, he's a really talented dude, man. And then you go back and you start reading through the writing credits, and he wrote a lot of their songs. Like, he wrote, as far as the music is concerned, he wrote a lot of the music for Faith No More. And funny thing about The Real Thing, the album I'm talking about, is that they had already had all the music written for the album before they fired Chuck Mosley, which was their first singer. Chuck, rest in peace, by the way, Mr. Mosley, passed away last year around November. Actually, going to Chuck Mosley, I actually saw Chuck Mosley live about, God, what was it, like about a week before he died? I went up to Cleveland to see another band that I really like called Dog Fashion Disco. They played 2 nights, and Chuck Mosley opened up one of the nights. And, you know, he was as terrible as you expected him to be. He's just was not a very good singer. Let's just be perfectly honest for a little bit about Chuck Mosley singing. But I can at least say I saw Chuck Mosley live, so I've seen all of Faith No More at one point in time. So yeah, I'm just picking up more items. I got enough heals, and I'm just picking up a few more pures before I move on. And, you know, now's a good time to talk about music, because no one wants to hear me talk about buying a bunch of pures. So 22, got some tents, got some cabins, got some houses, got one soft. Should probably actually go to, before I move on, I know I keep saying I'm going to move on, but I really don't. There's one enemy down in the Earth Cave that can turn your character to stone, and I really don't want to be down there and have like 2 of my characters turned to stone and then not be able to cure their stone status. So, excuse me, good lord, that was gross. So I'm going to hit up Elfland and pick up a couple of softs, and if I have enough money, I may as well get the A-Ice spell, even though it's not really necessary to pick it up, because obviously I can't use it because my red mage is not high enough level yet. But like I said, I should have enough money. It depends on, because the softs are like $800. A fucking potion that cures, I mean, I get it, it like does a miraculous thing in curing stone status, but $800? That's crazy, especially since the heals and the pures are only 60 and 75 respectively. So yeah, I'll pick up like, I don't know. I usually carry a 5, so I'll just pick up 1 more. And that's all I'll need for the whole game. I mean, there aren't that many enemies that turn you to stone in this game, just the cockatrices, and I think that's it. I'm pretty sure they're like the only enemy in the entire game that can turn your party to stone, or that can turn a person to stone. All right. Ooh, actually fast. That's another really good spell I need to pick up. But I won't pick that up until later. I'll get A-Ice for now. But like I said, I may not even, by the time I get down the Lich, I may not even be able to use this spell. but it's good to have. So the spells I'm gonna get are this spell. As you can see, the spells are expensive. Like mages in this game are by far the most expensive class to get. Like, because I mean, once you start, like, if you have a black and a white mage and you're like trying to fill up your level 4 magic, that's like freaking 12,000 per mage, like 24,000 gold just to give them their level 4 magic spells. And then you still got level 5 magic spells, which are like 8 grand a piece. Level 6, I think they're like 12 grand a piece. It's fucking insane. Or 20 grand a piece. Alright. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I saw Chuck Mosley live. That's it. So when Final Fantasy, when Faith No More was, you know, they were in the studio and they were recording the album or whatever. And so, like I said, they had a lot of the music already written before they even hired Mike Patton to come on and sing for him. And at the time, Mike Patton was doing his band Mr. Bungle. And it makes sense that if you're like, well, I'm doing this band, but this band here is obviously more popular than my Mr. Bungle, I may as well join up with them. Little did he know they were going to have like massive breakout success with the song Epic. So that made them, you know, at the time, like they were doing the right thing, because hair metal was on its way out, you know. And so they kind of bridged the gap between like that sort of hair metal-y style, but not being that, if that makes any sense. They had a funky sound, like very different than most of the bands that were coming out at the time. And then, of course, grunge hit in 91 and just completely demolished any semblance of hair metal or heavy metal in general. The only band that really survived any of that was Metallica. They were able to put out the Black Album at the same time that grunge, that in the same year that Nevermind came out, the Black Album came out, and they were still a massively popular metal band, but they weren't doing thrash metal anymore at that point. I mean, they were doing their fucking bullshit radio rock metal, their five-finger death punch metal. All right, so anyways, so we're here. We don't need any weapons here because the weapons are garbage. As you can see, Melman looks like shit. Right, so the only thing I'm buying here is this silver armlet, and I'm going to give it to Sarge. Because, as you can see, his absorb is 8, but now his absorb will be, come on Greg, 15, which is good. What is, I think it has the same absorb as the silver, no it does not. It's a little bit less than the silver armor that the red mage currently has. And you're probably thinking to yourself, you don't have gloves anymore. Gloves or hat. Well, I'll pick them up later. So basically what's happening in Melmond is there's a vampire that's causing the earth to rot, or at least the city thinks the vampire is the reason why the earth is rotten. But you'll find out later that it is not the case at all. So the earth is rotten. The vampire destroyed that village, which is why it looks like shit and there's a bunch of graves everywhere. And then, yeah, the marshland is, I guess, their way of showing that the earth is rotting or whatever. So that's it. We don't have to do anything else at Melman. There's nothing else really to do there except for pick up level 5 spells whenever my guy can actually use them, which will be many, many levels from now. And at some point, we will get something called a slab, and we will talk to a guy that lives in Melman, and he will teach us a language, but that is way further down the road, so I don't really need to talk about that. Just talk about fighting shadows, which I could use my fire spell against them, but I need to save my charge of fire 2 for the vampire once I get to him, because, well, he's undead and he is weak to fire attacks, just like all undead creatures are. So how many charges of fire do I have? Fire 2? Should have 2 charges. Yes, I do. Right. And like I said, hopefully I will gain enough levels to be able to use level 4 magic once I get down there. See, the most annoying thing about fighting shadows is that they get to attack first every single time. And so it just takes forever to get to attack them. Jesus. So yesterday, like I said before, like, for whatever reason, this game did not save on the emulator. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. Pulled up like a way old save file. And so yesterday, thanks to having emulators, I was able to get my 2.5 hours of playtime back in only about an hour, because I basically kept it at 200% speed. So I basically turned up the emulation speed so that I could just fly through the game. And then once I got into battles, I would turn the emulation speed all the way up to like 6,400% or whatever. So I could just fly through each battle. So basically, as you can see, there's tons of different areas I could have gone to here, most of which leads you to treasure that I don't need. I don't need the treasure that is available in those things. There's kind of worthless treasure, like a heal, a pure, like a wooden shield or something. I don't need that shit. And the main thing is, if I had gone to the lefterly side, the west side of the cave, I would have run into what's called the Hall of Giants. Basically, every single tile over there is a trapped tile, and you fight giants. It's a good way to level up in the game. It's nothing I'm interested in right now, obviously, because I'm not gonna grind. Come on, Greg. Fucking fight the right people. Alright. Referring to myself in the third person, I assume? So, yeah. So yeah, you can level up pretty good over there, just fighting a bunch of giants and stuff. Like I said, not really interested. I don't want to hear that fucking annoying sound. Let's get Owen cured up. And get him back where he belongs in the party. And then these fucking bats are in the way everywhere you go. Now, there are a couple of treasure rooms here. I'm going to pass one, which means I'll actually go into it just to get the items that are in there. Again, not really even worth stopping by and getting them. I think there's a coral sword in there, which I can sell later. But other than that, there's no real purpose in going into that treasure room. Man, that ogre dodged an attack. So as you can see, like, your fighters are tanks, man. They do not take much damage in comparison to, like, if your black belt or red mage gets attacked. I mean, you can see the significant difference in damage that they take versus the other guys. So green ogres, I think they have 130, like 132 hit points. Pretty sure that's what they have. So if I get a good attack off, I can usually one-shot them with the fighters. The reason why, even though Jay has the exact same weapon as Puff and Owen, his strength value isn't as high, so the strength actually is not bugged in this game. It does actually affect how hard you hit things with your weapons. It is one of the few abilities in the game that is not bugged. So as you can see, Owen did not gain a level because Owen is the guy that's behind on experience points right now. Before, in the first time, it was Sarge, but this time it's Owen. He's the one that died in a battle, which it was a stupid battle, and I just wasn't paying attention because I was fast-forwarding the emulation speed, fast-forwarding through the game, so I wasn't even paying attention to anybody's hit points at the time. Ooh, this is a good battle. Trolls and bulls. The trolls hit pretty hard. I want to say they at least can get 2 attacks off. Yeah, there you go. At any given time. And you can see, like, the bulls hit hard enough to where they will actually do more than, like, 1 hit point of damage to even the fighters. And they have pretty good, armor, because you can see I didn't do much damage to the troll. Definitely have to heal up after this battle. Jeez. Alright, there we go. Critical hit. Good job, Jay. Good job, sir. but they sure as hell give you tons of money and tons of experience. Man, that's awesome. Alright. Sarge needs more. We're good. Alright, so yeah, like I said, this room, coral sword. I think there's like a, cabin. That saves us $250, I suppose. Some gold. And that's like most of the treasure rooms in the early dungeons. Specifically like this dungeon and the marsh cave. Some of the other places like the Castle of Ordeals, which is actually the next place we'll go to, that place has actually pretty useful items. Sarge, you're almost there, buddy. You get one more level in you and you'll start putting some serious hurting on enemies, just like your fighter, just like the fighters. Yeah, once Sarge gets the black belt, once the black belt Sarge gets to level 10, I think his attack multiplier will go up. Like he'll be able to do 4 attacks instead of 2 attacks per attack. He'll get 4 hits in, which will massively improve the damage he's doing. Right now, he's just kind of like just getting his butt kicked. All right. This room here, again, nothing really worth getting. But this is the final room in the dungeon, or at least this part of the dungeon. When this is the room in which the floor in which the vampire is in. So we'll take him on once we're done fighting these green ogres. Or once we get to him, we'll take him on. He's pretty easy. He hits pretty hard, and I think can paralyze you with his hits. But the battle should not go but 1 round. He will get an attack off, and I will use fire 2, and I will attack with my peeps, and he will die. And that's pretty much what's going to happen. Good hit, Puff. Nice hit, Sarge. There you go. 73 damage. He's starting to do a little bit more damage than my red mage, which is good. Eventually the red mage will be he'll pretty much be kind of worthless. He'll be like my main like healing. He'll act just like any of my white or black mages would act. In the later game. I'll just be using items with him. Oh, come the fuck on. Of course these guys get to attack first. It's fine, as long as they don't paralyze Jay, then this should be fine. But they did paralyze Jay. Oh, he's cured. Fuck yes, awesome. Alright, so we are gonna actually fight this battle, and I'm gonna use my 1 and only charge of fire 2 that I will be using while I'm down here to kill these fucking things. All I have to do is hopefully, yes, thank you, Jay can attack before he gets paralyzed by one of these fuckers. And as you can see, fire 2 makes things drop dead quickly, especially when it comes to undead creatures. Now the problem with this game and the way that they do the magic in this game is that now I pretty much cannot use magic with Jay at all. I will either, if I run into another horde of those things, I will have to run away or fight them one at a time, which I'm not going to want to do. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks, is that I can literally only use fire 2 twice between each end visit, which is dumb. Oh, and of course, I fight these fucking wizards. But I am a little bit stronger than I was before. Now, you cannot run away from the wizards because they were a boss earlier in the game, so therefore you are not allowed to run from these guys. I'm sure you do feel their pain being all Danielle, how are you today? You been watching this? Listening to me talk about random music stuff? Ugh. Yeah, these guys are way, like I said, way easier when you're at a much higher level and you have better armor and fucking weapons. I mean, they still hit pretty hard, as you can see. I'm gonna have to heal Puff up quite a bit. But that's it. Nothing important in any of these rooms. That room to the right there has a treasure chest. Has a treasure chest with an earth elemental fiend guarding it. I just wanted you to see this battle. You cannot run away from these guys either. They're kind of tough. They just do physical attacks that hurt. 82. That's a lot of damage to one of my fighters. So as you can see, they hit pretty hard. I did forget to mention that I do an amazing rendition of Enter Sandman. So what Danielle's talking about is we went to, she's from West Virginia, but she had come down for a show that happened here in Atlanta, and we went to a place in Atlanta called, I thought there was more gold in that treasure chest. I don't think I would have fought that battle if I knew it was only, oh my Jesus. All right, I gotta run away from these fucking fuckers. All right, so yeah, there's this place called 10 High in Atlanta, which is in an area of Atlanta called the Virginia Highlands. And they do live band karaoke. And, you know, Enter Sandman's one of the few songs I sing during karaoke, so she got to see me perform that. But the whole time I'm there, or while I'm playing it, they switched out bass players for whatever reason. So they didn't have, like, the normal guy playing bass. They had, like, some fucking other dude. And he didn't fucking know the song. So he's, like, fucking up the whole time while I'm trying to sing Sandman. And I almost turned around to the guy and was like, do you want me to play this song for you? Because I know how to play it. And I will gladly play bass on this song and sing it if you can't fucking handle playing the bass. So anyways, here's the vampire. He's stupid. He's like kneeled, crouched over. And then we're just going to attack and use fire too, and he will die. Probably after this round of combat. I might one-shot him. Oh, it did not. He has like a little over 200 hit points, I think. Or around the 200 hit point mark. But as you can see, he's a total scrub. He just went down like nothing. And this is the ruby. So you get the ruby. North of this room is a plate that I need to get a rod to shatter. But I know he did suck. I wanted to punch him in his stupid throat. So got the ruby, killed the vampire. All is right with the world. All right, there's only a couple of these guys, or a couple. And by a couple, I mean there are 6 of them, as opposed to the many that I had to fight earlier. And so I'm like, I'll go fight this battle. I'm going to regret fighting this battle here in about 2 seconds if I can't get any attacks off before all my people are paralyzed. Holy shit. What is going on here? This is fucking crazy. This is my life here. And of course Sarge can't run, because why would he? I guess it's tough to run away when, what is he gonna do? Pick up the other 3 guys that are paralyzed and carry them in his arms to get away from this? Oh, he's stunned too. This is really good. This is fantastic. This battle's going amazingly. So I don't know if you can see the sheer look of disappointment on my face fighting this battle. Alright. Fuck this battle. I'm running away. This is what I should have... I don't think I would have been able to run... Ah, yes, I got out of the battle. Thank God. Holy shit. Alright, cool. Alright, we're good to go. Let's keep it moving. So yeah, 10 High is pretty cool. I would go there and do live band karaoke. It's a lot of fun. One of the part owners of 10 High, though, is this guy named English Nick. He's like a radio DJ here who works for some fucking, I don't know, anybody that listens to air radio anymore, but he works for some company that does one of the stations around here. And he's kind of a douche. That's all I have to say about him. There's no other story, there's no anecdote or any reason why. He's just kind of a douche. He was kind of, he's always there. He's like the he's the DJ of the event, I guess is a good way to describe it. Because he comes out, he's like this guy that sings like 3 songs to warm up the crowd before like the real karaoke people get up there and start singing songs. I don't know, he's just kind of a douche. Yeah, we pissed him off pretty bad too, because it's a big group of us that went down there, and we were trying to hijack the show, and he was having none of it. Well, eventually he had to have some of it because we weren't going to shut up. We were going to keep saying DFD over and over and over again forever. So yes. I am almost done in the Earth Cave. I just got, well, not almost done in the sense that I'm for real done. I'm just going to leave here and come back later. And, oh my god, oozes. Like, what? I don't think I've ever seen this battle on this floor. This is mind-boggling right now. Normally, this particular random encounter happens on the very last floor of this dungeon. So I hardly ever fight oozes, which I have no idea what they're weak against or anything, so I'm just gonna run away in case I can't get a physical attack off on them. Plus they're like poisoning everybody, which you know how I feel about being poisoned. Fucking sucks. Man, I'm like fucking plowing through all my heals, man. This is bullshit. Then I gotta fucking move all my people back to their spots. There we go. My god, that is so true. Dude, that fucking place, so many people sang Killers tunes. It was fucking crazy. Like, I mean, I like the Killers okay, I guess. I mean, they have like 3 decent songs. I will never own an album by the Killers. I don't like them that much, but like Mr. Brightside's a pretty cool song, I guess, and doesn't offend me. But they had like every Killer song you can imagine. It was like this, on their live band karaoke set. It was so weird. They didn't even have Panama. They normally have Panama, or they've had Panama there before, which is like my favorite, hands down favorite song to sing for karaoke is Van Halen's Panama. Love it. Love doing it. It's great. Do a good version of it. But they didn't have it this time, so I had to switch to my number 2, which is Enter Sandman. But yeah, tons of Killer songs. When we were there, the first people that went up tried to sing, I know, all those fucking yuppies. The first 2 people that went up, like, not, like, differently, but these 2 ladies went up together to sing, and they sang fucking they sang You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette, but they didn't know any of the verse, so they're up there and they're just not doing anything. They're just standing there like drunkenly dancing. And I mean, I'm telling you, they were the first people to go up, which means it was pretty early. It was like 10:30. So there's no reason for them to have been that drunk that early on in the night. But they were wasted-faced white ladies up there mumbling through the verses and the pre-chorus. Everyone knows the pre-chorus to that song. Well, and as I say, everyone knows, I don't know the pre-chorus. Like, I couldn't sing it off the top of my head, but if I was up there doing karaoke and the lyrics were in front of me, I'd be able to do the pre-chorus to that song. but then they eventually kicked him off the stage before they could get to the chorus. Like and of course they started belting out the chorus like right as, and they were in English, and it comes up there and he's all like, all right, turn the shit off. Stop the band. Get the fuck off the stage, bitches. He didn't say it that way, but he may as well have, and he should have. He would have been less of a douchebag if he had gone up there and told those ladies to get the fuck off the stage. I don't know why I'm running from this battle. I have no problem fighting this battle. I just didn't feel like having them take so much damage off of me. Good lord. I gotta heal up like crazy after fighting a bunch of cobras. Cobras, coincidentally enough, do not poison you, as you can see. Weirdly enough. Asps poison you, but cobras don't. Which makes no fucking sense. I'm pretty sure cobras are poisonous, if I remember correctly. I don't know much about snakes or whatever. I'm no snakeologist. Whatever person that studies snakes are. I don't know much about snakes, but I do know that cobras are poisonous. In fact. Now those are just called tigers, but they clearly have saber teeth. But later on in the game, we're going to fight blue striped tigers that are called saber-toothed tigers. But they also have saber teeth. It's pretty wild. As you can see in this game has like a lot of palette switch. Like they have a few sprite designs, but for the most part, it's like tons of palette switches. Like shadows, fucking images. Later we'll fight these things called wraiths. They all have the same image, just different colors. All the undead fucking humanoid things like the Geist, the Spectre, the Ghoul, the Zombie. They're all like essentially the same sprite but different colors. So, and I get it. I don't think Square had much money when they were developing this game, and this was going to be their last hurrah. Like they were literally going to be bankrupt if this game did not do well, and luckily it did. It, in fact, did well in Japan, or at least it did well enough for them to stay in business and put out 2 more Final Fantasies before sending this over to America. This game wasn't like insanely popular in America. Like I don't know very many people that know this game the way that I did, that had played this game when they were younger. Now, most people I know, or that I've seen or seen on YouTube or have talked about Final Fantasy, know Final Fantasy VII. And if they're a big fan of the series, they typically have played at least 7, 6, 5, and 4 or whatever. But you don't hear that many people talk about Final Fantasy 1. Unless they're like uber dorks like myself that absolutely love this game. Now, I would say this is probably one of my favorite games on the NES. It's definitely my top 5. What are my top 5 games, you ask? No one asked, but I'm sure you asked to yourself, what are my top 5 games? Well, let's talk about them for a second. I would say, first off, before I talk about my top 5 NES games, he can, in fact, use AI. So that is great news. Really great news. You were going to ask? Well, thanks, Danielle. I'm glad you asked. Alright, so you give the ruby to this Titan fucker, and then he just disappears. Like, he doesn't go. He doesn't walk off screen. He just vanishes without a trace. So yeah, top 5 NES games. This game, of course, at the top, or near the top. On the list, right? The list of top 5 games. Of course, Mario 3, Super Mario Brothers 3, hands down, probably one of the best, like, Mario games ever made. It was revolutionary for its time, in just how huge the game was. Plus, I saw it in the movie The Wizard, which The Wizard was essentially an NES marketing tool. That movie was made to promote Super Mario Brothers 3 and the Power Glove, because the Power Glove, it's so bad I wonder if you could play like Rad Racer well using the Power Glove. No. Alright, so silver, whatever. So yeah. Mario Brothers 3, awesome fucking game. Good game, good stuff. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, or you could just call it Punch-Out. I always played the Mike Tyson's version, which was actually the original version. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was the first version of it, or at least when it was released on the NES, which I want to say Punch-Out was originally an arcade game, but the port to the NES was, well, of course, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which everyone knows it as that. And then once Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, they switched the licensing on it and then just called it regular Punch-Out and turned Mike Tyson's sprite into a white guy and just called it Mr. Dream or whatever. That game is great. It's like the most racist game in the history of time, but it's a great game. I mean, the stereotypes, the sorry French guy and the Indian dude that disappears, and it's just so fucking stupid. The drunk Russian game is racist. What I'm trying to say. It's racist. The fat Pacific Islander guy, just all the racism in the game, the rampant racism. So you've got. So what did I say? Final Fantasy, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Super Mario Brothers 3, Mega Man 2. Probably the best platformer on the whole. I mean, Mega Man as a series, they did not go wrong. All 6 games in the Mega Man series for the NES are amazing games. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Mega Man 2 is just so good. It's so good. It's got good difficulty. Like, it's a tough game, but it's not like so ridiculously hard like most NES games were at the time. Like, you talk about a game like Castlevania or Ghosts and Goblins. I mean, those 2 games are like ridiculously tough and borderline unfair. Whereas like Mega Man 2 is like tough, but there's not like any unfair aspects of it. You pretty much break the game right away the second you fight Metal Man. You get Metal Man, you use his metal blade, you can shoot in 8 directions, and then at that point, it's just like, the game's pretty much over. It's just a formality to finish the rest of the levels. My buddy's like moving around in his room. I might have to end the stream early. So my plan is to... So I got the rod from that guy. So you go through the cave, you do the thing, you talk to him, you get the rod. The rod, you can finish out the Earth Cave. Oh, Owen is in fact awake. He only took like an hour-and-a-half nap. That is crazy to me. Alright, I'm going to text him. I guess I'm going to go to Melmond, save the game, and then end my stream, which is boring. I don't want to have to end the stream. I was having so much fun just now. Alright. Text my mom. Just woke up. Boom. Alright, text is done. Oh, look at that. Only one person got paralyzed in that battle. That is great. So what did I say? Did I say 4 games? The 4 games? This game, Mega Man 2, Super Mario Brothers 3? No, 3 games. No, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. That's 4 games. So what else? What else is there? What other game do I actually enjoy? And I like to play a lot. I'm going to say a really weird game that's going to blow your mind. But I actually really enjoy it a lot. It's an LJN classic, Friday the 13th. And I know anybody that's watching this is like, what? Friday the 13th? For real? You like that game? Oh, I love that game. The game's terrible, but it's like a good terrible. I don't think it's a tough game. And once you know how to play the game and you figure out like how to traverse the map and how to fight Jason and stuff, the game's actually really not that tough, and it's a pretty clever little game. You have 6 camp counselors that you can pick and choose between. Weapon upgrades. It's pretty similar to like getting items in that game is similar to how you get items in Super Ghouls and Ghosts. You just have to jump around until they appear. So you basically jump around, you get like little medicine things, and excuse me, and you can upgrade your weapons to like a knife. If you kill 50 zombies, you can get the machete. You can find an axe in one of the cabins in the woods, which you don't go into the woods. There's no reason to go into the woods. And then eventually, if you light up all the fireplaces and you find the note that says where to find the torch, then you can find the torch in one of the big cabins. And the torch is by far the best weapon in the game. You use the torch. It does 1 hit point of damage against Jason. Pretty much kills him. And the good thing is, like, you can pretty much get 6 torches pretty quickly in the game and just be mega overpowered. It's crazy with all your guys. You don't... the only characters you really need to use are Chrissy and Mark. And then you can just get the torches and then pass them on to your other party members, or the other cabin, or the other counselors. Laura's okay too, she just doesn't jump very high. And then once you kill Jason on the first day, there's 3 days of killing Jason. So you just keep killing Jason over and over again, and then you kill him 3 times and the game's over. So those are my top 5 games for the NES. And I guess my stream is done because Owen is in fact awake. He is not going back asleep. He is done for the day, which means I am done for the day. And I'm bummed because I thought I would at least get an hour and a half or 2 hours of stream time, not just an hour. So join me next time and we'll finish up the Earth Cave and beat Lich and get a canoe and do a bunch of other shit in this game. But until then, thanks for watching, Danielle and whoever else decided to watch while I was doing this. And I will see you guys probably on Monday because I will not be able to stream over the weekend. Lauren is off. I have some friends coming to town. So yeah, I'll probably be back Monday at the usual time at noon. And we will see you then. Bye-bye.